How you feeling? John Riggs here, back from the Portland Retro Gaming Expo 2017. One of my favorite events. It's my favorite expo of the year, and it's just a huge homecoming for a lot of us. You know, reason for all of us to get together, hang out, and talk about what we love, of course, video games. First and foremost, huge shout out to Chuck and Rick and Toby and Terry and the entire crew of the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. They invited me down there, VIP status. I was going to be there anyway. I purchased a vendor booth, so I was going to be there anyway. But they also asked if I could host a panel, so did that. I was part of the Metal Jesus Rocks panel. That will be available online. And I hosted my own open cart surgery live panel, and a huge thank you for everybody who attended. We packed up maybe half the room, so it's the biggest attendance I've ever had at one of my panels personally. It's cool. They have these little placards celebrating 40 years of Atari. So all the things on the panel had this guy right here. So it's I kept this after the show. I'm gonna hang that up in my room or something like that. And with my Open Cart Surgery Live panel again, big thank you to Ryan from Castlemania Games, as well as Retro Robbie for helping me out on my panel. Open Cart Surgery Live, a lot can go wrong, and at first it kind of did. None of the games I was working on were working, but then finally I did have a broken Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo, and I got that working. And somebody in the audience was awarded that as a thank you for being there. And all the games I fixed, I handed out in the audience too. And also a big thank you to 1UP cards, because everybody who attended my panel, they all got a couple of 1UP cards as a free thank you for attending the panel. So again, thank you everyone. If you stopped by my booth, whether you bought something or not, thank you so much for doing that. It's why I'm there. And a double thanks to my Patreons for helping support me to get there, to get a vendor table, sell off some of my extras, my doubles, and thanks. Thank you is all I can say. Let me show you what I picked up quickly here. I went in there knowing I didn't need anything. There was a couple of books I was looking for, and I was planning on purchasing those. So then everything else kind of turned into trades. People say, hey, do you take trades? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm not really looking for anything specifically, but if I see something that I wouldn't mind having, I'm okay trading, especially if I have something that they want and it's like a lateral trade. I was like, well, you get that, and I'll just remove that price sticker and put it on this thing and put that in the box, you know. Test it out really quickly. So, first of all, I didn't even know this was a thing yet. Got a box of Rugrats Reptar cereal. Now, I'm class of 95, so I'm not as nostalgic for Rugrats. I'm very familiar with it, but this is a thing. I believe it's an FYE exclusive. So if you're looking for Reptar cereal, FYE. The Game Hunters, SOE33, and his sister Leaf. Got me a box of Halloween Crunch. They love breakfast cereal. And along with Retro Robbie, he comes from Canada, and his friend Sam came down there, and they're like, well, is there anything Canadian that you need? I was like, well, they do have a cereal called Shreddies, and we don't have Shreddies here in America. And they have new banana bread flavored Shreddies. I actually opened this up this morning. I had a bowl this morning. I had 2 bowls, and it tastes straight up like banana bread. It's insane. So thank you. Thank you for those. Always love having cereal. And Reptar Crunch, man, could give that a shot. Picked up a few shirts, too. I got hooked up with one of these. It's the Gaming Zone. The front says Retro Never Dies. On the back, it's like Continue 9. So I got one of these, and so thank you for hooking it up, man. I'll wear this on my channel, no doubt about it. My friends from the CD company were there. They do the emulated play any disc game, you know, like PlayStation, Sega CD, TurboGrafx 16 CD, stuff like that. And I stopped by their booth, and they're like, "Hey, you want a free shirt?" It's like, I like free. And Andrew's there from Rockhart. And I was like, man, I need a hat. Do you have any hats? He's like, I can get you a hat. So he made me a hat with their logo on it. That's the rock with the heart. I'm guessing it's why they're called Rock Heart. So I wore that over the weekend. I wore that on Saturday. And also, I have the blue one, but then they have the red one. So I got the red. It's Mega Death. Get it, Mega Death. So I got the red one. Cool. We have a couple of, these are blank carts, see-through, green, red, and red. My buddy Danny Kim always has the deals, man. Known him ever since I started getting into this whole retro convention thing. One of the first guys is like, hey dude, what up, man? Danny's awesome, and he just had these, so worked out a trade, grabbed those from him. And I have something completely weird I'm going to show you at the end of the video, and I'll get to that here pretty soon. my buddy Muramasa was there, does those boards, so he brought some boards. So I was like, well, I'll grab some boards from you, sure. always nice to have some of those. Worked out a couple of trades. Zombies Ate My Neighbors. This is one of those games I keep getting, and then as soon as I get it, I end up trading it away. So I got one again, and we'll see how long I keep this one. This will probably last me until the next video game convention, I'm guessing. And I worked out a trade with Retro Robbie. He was there. Retro Robbie. Let me tell you something. He does conventions right. You don't have to spend any money if you don't have to. Bring a backpack, even if you're not a vendor. Bring a backpack full of goodies. Ask if they're doing trades. And oftentimes they're very eager to trade, especially if you're like, if you're looking for like an Earthbound or an EVO or a Wild Arms or something like that. Vendors, especially like game stores, are happily accepting your trades for, they can sell 5 copies of Ocarina of Time quicker than they can sell like one EVO, for instance. So he had his backpack full of trades, and I had one game he didn't have and I needed. So he worked out a trade, and I got in return Shadow the Ninja. Awesome game. I used to have this, and then I don't know what happened to it. I probably sold it or traded it or something like that. But happy to have it back again in the collection. And this is a game I've never had before, but it's one of those games that's going up in price. It's like kind of sneakily raising up the scale, though. So if you have one or are looking for something, Imperium is, as far as collectability goes, is getting up there pretty high. Finally met Mr. Wizard, does fantastic repros. His repros are unique. He puts like elements to them, like instead of just doing like what I would do, like, well, here's literally one without the label, but like, here's Sweet Home. Black cart, cool, right? it works. But he'll, like, his Sweet Home cart will have like blood splatter on it and stuff like that. Super, super cool stuff. And he was there. I met him for the first time there in Portland. Super cool dude. Look up Mr. Wizard Repros or however you're going to find him. He's on social, like Instagram and all that. Maybe most famously known for these. So I finally got one of these in my collection too. With the ever so subtle note, thanks for being so tall. The first time I met him, and I got a few of this at the convention when I met him. They're like, oh, hey, John Riggs, it's nice to meet you. You are a lot taller than I expected. Because I'm 6'5", I'm sitting here at the table, I'm as tall as anyone, I'm just sitting down, I'm chilling, So Jared, thank you for this. I'm happy to have this. It glows in the dark, too. It's like the effervescent, phosphorant, or however it is. Limited run games were there. I did not pick up Lily. So they had copies of Lily, so I picked up Lily from Limited Run Games. So got that copy. I already showed you that one. Put that in there. Couple of PlayStation 3 games. Oddly enough, I've never played either of these. Got it in a trade, so it's like, I'll check those out. Why not? Again, I didn't find any Famicom Disk System. I love Famicom Disk System. Couldn't find any games on the floor. But somebody came up to me, and they said, are you doing trades? I got some Famicom Disk System games. I was like, oh boy, okay. So we worked out a few trades along the way. First time was for a few games. The next time around is for a few more games. And then the third time around, it was for the rest of his Famicom Disk System games. So I ended up leaving the convention with all of his Famicom Disk System games. Many of them I didn't already have. Like I didn't have Pachinko. This is a batch of them that are labeled bad, which means, maybe, they're rewritable. So either somebody erased something on one side or it says something, but it really is something else. So I'm going to go through those here pretty quickly, but going to have, there's things like, that's a sports game, exciting something or other. But I didn't have this one. That was one of the first ones I grabbed. I didn't have that one. Professional Mahjong. In here he had a few copies of Mario 2 is on one side and Tennis is on the other. Another batch of bad games, but there's like a Kid Icarus in here too, and just a bunch of stuff to add to the collection here. Some of them are loose, some of them are at least have this going on. I got the Hyper Load Runner here. This game is like super complete. It's only it's the exciting billiards or something. So more Famicom Disk System games for the collection. A few more things to show off, and then here's the books I picked up. My buddy Chris Kohler got the Final Fantasy V book. So it's all about Final Fantasy V. I run into him at like most conventions there too. So super cool dude. Knows a lot about he used to live in Japan, I believe. So and I have his other book too, and that's super awesome. This book here from Michael Thompson. I'm going to do a review on this later on. downright bizarre games. And I love how this is set up, because when you open it, it's one of those books you can just open it up to any page. Well, that's the page I opened it up to. When you open it up to any page, it's always something weird, you know. So I'm gonna go through here and maybe find some hidden gems, and it's just kind of set up just like a, you know, just, you can read it page by page if you want, but then just, you know, it's just full of bizarre games, downright bizarre games. He was at the convention himself. I'm sure he personalized it too. I saw, oh yeah, here it is. Thanks for crossing the line with me, Michael Thompson. He was in the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest game collection. He was that guy. And he wrote a book. So, I've heard about the book. I just didn't have one for myself. And Brett Weiss was there. Love that dude. Met him for the first time as well. And I have a couple of his books, and one book I didn't have from him is the Classic Home Video Games a Nintendo thing. He has one earlier as well. He has one for like Genesis, TurboGrafx 16. I have that one. Neo Geo's included in that one too. But I didn't have this one yet, so I was happy to grab this one from him at this collection. Now, the weird thing. Completely weird. They had this for $1. I hope it works. I took a licking from a chicken. It reminds me of, in Yakima, we had a place called the Country Store where you could play tic-tac-toe with a chicken. I'm hoping it's like that. Untested. Usually untested means broken. But untested. He had 2 of them. So I bought both of them, and maybe I can use the parts for one to fix the other one. I'm not exactly sure. What makes this weird is not only just how it looks. If you can look in the background there, it's kind of hard to see because it's right there. It's licensed by LJN. This is an actual LJN licensed thing. So I'm gonna see if I can get it working. I'll do a video on it, but we'll see. But that's what I picked up. Again, thank you everybody who stopped by Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and that's my last expo of the year. What's 2018 gonna bring? Well, I mean, there's gonna be the Seattle Expo. There's the Portland Expo. There's the Cowlitz Games for Kids Expo. Portland does a swap meet in January. You know, and then there's the other ones across the country. So, you know, maybe I'll be back to the Missouri Game Con. I don't know yet. California has the Retro City Fest. That's coming up, like in February or something like that. There's, you know, Game On Expo, Too Many Games, Retropalooza. I've never been to any of those. So maybe this is the year I might find a way to get out of these other expos and meet you in person. And either way, thank you for watching, and I thank you for your support. And until next time, talk to you later. I'm gonna hit this button right now. We'll see you. Thanks.